Thank you for joining me here this afternoon. The time is now 4:02 p.m. Central, and we have brand new tropical storm warnings issued for portions of the coast of the Carolinas. We have tropical storm warnings going out for southeastern North Carolina and northeastern South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Conway, Oak Island, back up towards areas near Holly Ridge. Again, tropical storm warnings, not watches. This thing has not even developed into a tropical storm yet, and they're already confident enough that it is going to do so by tonight and make landfall as early as tomorrow afternoon. So, we've got a lot of stuff to discuss in this live stream here with Mr. Storm.
What's up, guys?
So let's go ahead and get right into it, just starting off with the tropical storm warnings that have just been issued once again. So as of right now, this is a potential tropical cyclone, and you may notice that the Radar Omega website here, we don't have any sort of cone popped up yet. That's because this was literally just issued. It'll probably take a minute, but if we go ahead and just read off some of the info on these tropical storm warnings, we'll do the one for the Myrtle Beach area, since that's kind of the most populated region in the tropical storm warning. So we're saying that we are expecting sustained winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour with gusts up to 60 miles an hour until Monday afternoon, starting now for portions of Myrtle Beach. Again, now until Monday afternoon, 40 to 50 mile per hour sustained winds and gusts up to 60. And it even reads here that the potential impacts of that are already unfolding, all right? So things that could happen with this, all right? We're definitely going to see trees down, power lines down. You could lose power in some localized spots of the Myrtle Beach region here. We're likely going to see some structural damage to very weak structures. We could definitely see some roof damage, some shingles ripped off of a house maybe. The storm surge forecast for Myrtle Beach, 1 to 3 feet, and that can be significant. And again, the potential impacts from that are already unfolding according to the National Hurricane Center. The rain forecast is pretty significant as well. Even if you're not on the coast here, you could deal with some significant flooding because of that freshwater rainfall. We already have a ton of rain in some of these areas, but we are expecting an additional 3 to 6 inches with locally higher amounts. The potential impacts with that are significant. Moderate flooding from rainfall may prompt some evacuations and rescues. Rivers and streams may rise and overspill their banks in a few places, especially in the typical prone locations. Small creeks and ditches may overflow. Floodwaters may enter some structures, underpasses, low-lying spots along roadways, and poor drainage areas may become submerged by rising water. Some secondary streets and parking lots may flood as storm drains and retention ponds overflow. Driving conditions will become hazardous and some road closures can be expected. The tornado forecast. The situation is somewhat favorable for tornadoes, but mainly they're just going to be a nuisance for any sort of evacuation events that may unfold if areas do get enough storm surge and things become dangerous. That would be the main problem. They'd just be kind of annoying. And there you go. There's the cone from the National Hurricane Center. It did finally pop up. We can see that, again, we're expecting this thing to develop into a tropical storm very soon, although the specific track for that has not popped up, but we can see the cone here. There we go. So we're expecting a tropical storm landfall here. We're expecting tropical storm Helen to make landfall with around 50 mile an hour sustained winds with gusts up to 65 miles an hour. Again, that's significant, and we are expecting that to be, again, around as early as tomorrow afternoon, around lunchtime, near McClellanville, South Carolina. Now, this will continue to push northward towards portions of Appalachia here, like eastern Kentucky, southeastern Ohio, West Virginia, western Virginia, northeast Tennessee, and western North Carolina here. And by the way, this already did actually produce a waterspout this morning that did sweep onto shore here near Bald Head Island, North Carolina. We can go ahead and talk about that later, but I did just want to quickly point out that this system is already bringing some very torrential rain, especially to the Bald Head Island region there. So Mr. Storm, we haven't really said anything to you yet. You want to just cut in and talk about your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's the right move from the National Hurricane Center. Obviously, satellite looking pretty good as of right now. The storm has really popped off. I mean, it was about 3 hours ago last time I checked on this storm, and it looked nothing like what it's looking like right now. This thing is really start to, get that good, core built up with that good convection. You've got a very good spin to it. Notice how also the wind field is very, very large. So that means we're seeing a swath of tropical storm and force winds, very, very large, spreading all the way up towards the North Carolina coastline, all right? So we are expecting the storm to eventually strengthen into a tropical storm, right? It actually does have tropical storm force sustained winds. It does not have all requirements for a tropical storm, meaning that is right now considered a subtropical storm. are expecting this to gain all of the tropical characteristics to the point where we can call it Helen or Helene. What is it?
I believe it's Helen.
Yeah, so we're expecting Helen by later today. Look at the cone. The next, looks like in the next few hours, 1 to 3 hours, we could definitely have Helen on our hands, all right? But we're expecting very intense rainfall. A lot of rainfall is already occurring, as we do already have funnel clouds that have been reported off the coast of the Carolinas here. So this is going to be dumping a lot of rainfall because, as you can see on satellite, it's a very big storm with a lot of moisture packed into it. So this is going to be kind of impacting this area. Storm surge is a possibility. We're going to have to see, if those waves are going to be big. And what I'd like to look at is the NAM for Kemba, because this is a great example of what has, uptick our, basically our certainty in the fact that this will definitely or potentially form into Helen. You can see just the difference from the 18Z and the 12Z run on the NAM. All right, the NAM is a rather aggressive model for tropical systems, but I think that because this is weaker, it might be a little bit more accurate. But you can see the 12Z NAM from today had this getting down to about a 1,003 millibar low. Now you look at the 18Z run, which is the run that comes out at, I believe, 6 o'clock Eastern time. You can see it takes us down all the way to about a 993 millibar low. So that's a 10 millibar difference. That's a very big difference there. So much stronger storm with that. And it just seems like this is going to sit off the coast long enough to the point where it's going to strengthen and then kind of just float its way onto the Carolinas. But heavy, heavy, heavy rains with those outer bands. We're talking about, big time rainfall, big time flooding, maybe even some storm surge. But definitely a storm that you're going to have to watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. So again, if we just look at the NAM here, we can see that actually the NAM is saying something very, very interesting. It's painting more of a picture of a tomorrow morning landfall, all right? And whenever I say tomorrow morning, I mean early in the morning, okay? We're talking about, 9, 10 a.m. landfall. That would be 10 or 11 a.m. Eastern, to be fair, but that would be pretty interesting. And again, areas on the coast of North Carolina are already starting to see heavy rain. It's not like this system is way off the coast. I mean, it is right up against it, which is why we already have tropical storm warnings rather than watches. Again, we've already got some rain falling near Boiling Spring Lakes, North Carolina, Carolina Beach, Cure Beach, Bald Head Island, Southport, Caswell Beach, Oak Island, Holden Beach. And again, these areas have already seen a ton of rain from this system as well. If we just go ahead and take a look at the storm total precipitation, we can see that this storm has already dumped significant rainfall totals on the coast of North Carolina. I mean, we're talking as far north as Beaufort, North Carolina. Some localized areas have gotten close to 4 inches of rain even with this storm here. And again, it's only continuing to get stronger, right? And again, some areas have already seen 4 to 4.5 inches of rain there near Beaufort. We're expecting more rain to fall south of that region, though, right? We're talking about mainly the South Carolina coast and the southern North Carolina coast there. So, again, some areas in the Atlantic actually have already seen significant rain from this. Obviously, there's not really anybody out there. There's nobody living out there, but over 13 inches of rain have fallen in some areas off the coast of South Carolina there, which is pretty interesting. We're not expecting any onshore impacts like that. Hopefully, that doesn't happen anyway, but if this system does become a slow mover, that definitely can't be 100% ruled out, and it won't be quite as bad as that, but we definitely could see some significant rainfall totals again there on this coast of South Carolina. So I do just want to quickly take a look at some things here. So this is the model intensity guidance here from the tropical tidbits, the tropical tidbits. No, but as we can see, it is already strong enough in terms of the wind speeds to be considered a tropical storm. Again, it just doesn't have all those tropical storm characteristics yet, but we are expecting by later tonight it will. Again, we're thinking that this becomes a kind of a low to mid-range tropical storm. The kind of peak intensity here is about 50 mile an hour sustained winds, which is interesting because the National Hurricane Center is saying that's what's going to happen. They're not saying that's the ceiling for this. So we'll see what happens with that, but we're expecting it to pretty quickly weaken. However, again, even after the system weakens, it's going to be the rain that you have to look out for, right? We're not just talking about damaging winds with this system. 60 mile an hour wind gusts wouldn't be a news-breaking headline usually, all right? But in this instance, it is because it's also going to go along with significant rainfall totals and storm surge. This is the track guidance here. We can see we're all over the place, but again, the general idea is that this makes landfall on the coast of South Carolina, pushes northwestward, enters the Appalachia region, bringing heavy rainfall. So that's kind of what we're thinking about for right now. Let me go and do a quick checkup on chat here. Again, if anybody has any questions about the location, feel free to leave those down below. But I would like to just go ahead and point out the tornado threat is going to be there, and we're going to be here live tomorrow covering tornadoes produced by Tropical Storm Helen, or likely Tropical Storm Helen, by the way. Or anyway, rather. And the main tornado threat we'd be watching for, it's going to be mostly in eastern North Carolina, but we can't rule out a tornado as far north as extreme southeast Virginia, or as far south as extreme northeastern South Carolina. Again, a 2% risk in place there. By the way, we're also going to be live tomorrow for tornado potential in the upper western Midwest and the parts of North Dakota and Minnesota. But anyway, that is pretty much everything that I can think of that we need to talk about right now for Helen. Mr. Storm, you got anything else? We're going to stay live here with questions and stuff. But Mr. Storm, what's something else that we should definitely bring up?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered the most important information. I don't really think of anything else that we need to pull up, but obviously we'll get the storm surge forecast from the National Hurricane Center. I think they'll issue it once this forms, alright? Really doesn't seem like storm surge is going to be a huge deal, but I think we can look at the significant wave height parameter from the GFS.
We actually do already have the storm surge forecast, by the way.
Oh, we do? Okay. Yeah, so the significant wave height parameter from the GFS for the storm. Alright, as of right now, off the coast of the Carolinas, we're talking about up to 10-foot waves. Obviously, that's not onshore, but as of onshore waves, it seems like we could definitely have waves over 5 feet. Alright, so really, really high waves with this storm is possible. That pretty much means that you're going to get some pretty good storm surge, because that wave direction is going to be coming straight on shore, alright, with the spin of the storm system. So I think that storm surge may be a bigger deal than we first anticipated it to be. So I definitely watch out for that, as long as you're, if you're in one of those coastal communities, just please be aware that coastal flooding is certainly possible. I do think that we can expect some spotty areas of potentially significant coastal flooding. All right, but nothing that you guys haven't handled, nothing that you guys haven't seen, but definitely some decent amount of storm surge there, and definitely very possible coastal flooding with that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly point out here the peak storm surge forecast from the National Hurricane Center right now. It's only up to 3 feet. However, that is over a massive area, going all the way from Oregon Inlet, which is in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, back down towards South Santee River in South Carolina. Everywhere in between there could see up to 3 feet of storm surge. I wouldn't be surprised to see them add like a 2 to 4 feet zone, maybe just before landfall. But again, right now, we're talking about up to 3 feet. This is the tropical storm force wind probability forecast. Again, spots on the coast of South Carolina there have a 70 to 80% chance to see tropical storm force winds in the next 5 days. And that's significant. A 70 to 80% chance this far out is definitely a big deal, so look out for that. Again, that just goes out for a little sliver of South Carolina there, but it's still worth pointing out as the forecast, again, will get more dramatic as we continue. And they even have a spot in South Carolina where they're talking about 50 knot winds or greater, which would be about 60 mile an hour sustained winds, being a very slight possibility, admittedly. So, again, we'll see what happens with that. The arrival time of the winds, all right? We can see Sunday at 8 p.m. That is today. As early as tonight, we could be talking about tropical storm force winds already making their landfall here in South and North Carolina coasts. Tomorrow, kind of late tonight at 2 a.m., we could see that kind of travel into like central South Carolina and eastern North Carolina. And then by tomorrow morning at around 8 a.m., that's going to be in central North Carolina and northwest South Carolina. Again, those are the earliest arrival potentials there of tropical storm force winds from potential tropical cyclone Helen there.
I will answer Sam's question, if that's alright. Sam is wondering what you should expect in Abbeville, South Carolina, so we will go over that.
Yeah, so
I don't know where that's at.
That's in like northwest South Carolina, so I wouldn't be really too worried about that. Do you want to take this one?
It is. All right.
Oh wait, what? You go ahead and answer. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so this is a pretty decently large storm, but all you're gonna see is mainly just some clouds and maybe some rain. But it doesn't look like anything too significant for you, so you don't really need to worry about this one.
Yeah, no sort of flooding rains, no sort of damaging winds. Even it will be kind of cool to look off in the distance and see really intense looking clouds from this for sure. But even if this does shift way further to the west, which we're not expecting to happen, but even if it did shift way further to the west, at that point, it would still only be like a tropical depression, so I would not really worry at all. And yes, NATOcast does suck for events like this. In fact, they have already issued a 10% tornado. I hate NATOcast for tropical events. They've already issued a 10% tornado threat for portions of the North Carolina coast. That is just bonkers. That's ridiculous. Don't trust that. Again, the SPC has it at a 2% within 25 miles of any given point. So again, I think one or two tornadoes are likely tomorrow. Brief spin ups. NATOcast thinks there's going to be like a ton of tornadoes tomorrow, but that's not really a possibility.
Yeah. So, winds, aren't going to be a huge problem. Definitely, 30 to 40 gusts, pretty widespread. Some areas at the most getting anywhere between 50 and 60 miles per hour. But I'd really say, Myrtle Beach, points south is really going to be where you're going to get the highest of winds here from Helen.
Yeah, and again, parts of the North Carolina coast as well, there definitely has that chance too. If we just look at the tropical storm warnings, actually, some of the warnings for the North Carolina coast say as high as 60 to 65 mile-an-hour wind gusts there.
Yeah, right now, seems like Oak Island and Myrtle Beach are gusting to about 35 right now, which I'll say is definitely very breezy. But you've got very strong winds. As a matter of fact, what the GFS is showing for right around now is that we could have gusts potentially over 50 miles per hour just outside of the center of where the storm is. So there's that possibility for very intense winds.
Yeah. I'd also like to point out this isn't anything major, but we do have a little bit of rotation off in the Atlantic right now. Could have a water spout or something. That's going to continue traveling southwestward here. It's going to approach McClellanville and North Santee, South Carolina, likely. If it stays intact, we may have to watch that for a water spout sweeping on shore or something. But there's no sort of like major tornado threat with that or anything.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of rotation.
So this one is going to struggle moving north. Obviously, it's going to make landfall as a very weak storm. But it's not going to, stay as a strong storm, or it's not going to be a strong storm at all, but it's not going to stay as a tropical storm for any while. It's really just going to immediately weaken down to a tropical depression, and it's going to have to fight against a lot of ridging. All right, we've got very high pressure that's set in the northeast. As of right now, my neck of the woods of western Long Island, we're dealing with 1,027 millibar high pressure, which is extremely high right now. It's a beautiful day outside, so this thing is just going to have to really fight. It's going to really chug, so I doubt it's even going to be a tropical depression by the time this gets into southwestern Virginia, but this is literally just going to be some clouds and and this is going to be just a cloudy and windy day if you're in, southern Kentucky and into, southwestern Virginia, or southern West Virginia.
Yeah. So, what's going on? I am Leprechaun Timmer. Just not going to say anything about that. But, I was going to say something. I don't even remember anymore, but I was going to say something about, just piggybacking off what you said about the strong storm thing. Again, this is nothing you guys haven't seen before. This is nothing you guys haven't seen even recently, alright? We had Debbie. Debbie brought more significant impacts to this area than this system will, by far, alright? This is going to be nothing like Debbie. A much weaker system, but again, that doesn't mean you should completely let your guard down. I really doubt they're going to have any evacuations go into effect, and the only reason this is going to develop into a tropical storm at all is because, as Mr. Storm pointed out, these are not really that favorable tropical storm formation conditions, but the only reason this is going to develop is just because we are at peak hurricane season and the SSTs in this area are above average. So you combine those two factors and things get wild because we're already kind of at the peak of where the SSTs are usually. And again, they're even a little bit above average out in this area right now. So that definitely leads to a pretty sticky situation for tropical storm development. Even just any little organized cluster of showers has a decent chance to become tropical really quickly in this kind of environment. But again, that doesn't mean it's going to become a very strong system.
Yeah. I'm going to go grab some water because my mouth is super dry from talking, so.
Okay. Sounds good. But yeah, again, if anybody has any questions about their location, feel free to leave those down below. Again, right now we're already seeing some heavy rain south of Wilmington, North Carolina, sweeping on to shore here, and we're going to see even more of that sweeping on to shore here very shortly. Again, Bald Head Island, you've been seeing significant rain for a while, and you're going to continue to see significant rain for a while. I mean, look at this. We've already got a ridiculous amount of rain in this area. We've already got, over 9 inches in localized areas over the past couple of days from this storm here. And again, things are only getting worse, so pretty crazy. Yeah, again, hype is going to be everywhere on social media during any tropical storm that has ever occurred, so it's not really too surprising, unfortunately. Get a little gnat flying around the microphone. So again, we've already got some gusty winds sweeping onto shore here, but it's nothing crazy. Fox Weather actually posted a really good video earlier today showcasing some of the stuff that's going on in the Wilmington region from the, again, potential tropical cyclone Helen. Again, things are getting breezy, things are getting very rainy. They're not good beach conditions at all. A Canadian prairie thunderstorm group is hyping up the lone threat of a tornado tomorrow with a NAM sounding showcasing STP levels up to 4 and 5 indicating it. That is ridiculous. High risk. I'm calling out high risk. That is stupid.
Alrighty, I'm back.
Alright.
Please. So from the National Hurricane Center, they are expecting about 6 to 8 inches areas around Wilmington. So, in case you guys were wondering.
Yeah, and those are actually only the additional rainfall totals. We were just going over, while you were gone, some localized spots near Bald Head Island, North Carolina. According to radar, over the past few days, they have already had over 9 inches of rain from this system, and very, very localized locations right along the coast.
Wow.
What's up, Goose
So,
Man?
there you go. And the flash flooding potential, right now we've got a slight risk, but that's for flash flooding. I think where that really is also for excessive rainfall. I think that we're just going to see a lot of street flooding, across the coastal regions here of the Carolinas.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see a small moderate risk issued for tomorrow just based off the fact how big this slight risk is, but right now it's just at a slight, so. And the day 3 outlook as well, I believe, also has a marginal threat. It has a marginal threat going up the East Coast. So you're actually included in that day 3 marginal threat there. Or no, you're not. Never mind.
Me?
Yeah, you're just outside of it, I believe.
I did not know there was a day 3 marginal.
On excessive rainfall.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna zoom in on your. I'm not gonna dox you and zoom in on your house, but you're close to that marginal risk. That's all I'll say.
You can zoom on Long Island. Yeah, I'm just north of it. What about a moderate risk?
A moderate risk of excessive rainfall, not like a severe weather risk. It's a possibility for tomorrow.
Yeah, right now we're at a slight risk, or we've got a pretty broad slight risk for excessive rainfall. If you're just now joining, We're talking about PTC 8 that just formed or got named out here in the Atlantic. That does not mean it's a tropical storm. Is currently gathering tropical characteristics to the point where we're expecting it to become a tropical storm later today. This will be Tropical Storm Helen. That'll be impacting the Carolinas with heavy rainfall, which will lead to flooding, storm surge, high winds, and a possible water spout threat, and also tornado threat.
Yeah. By the way, just a little, just to throw this out there, everybody knows that the I names on the hurricane list are always the ones that pop up. Well, next up is going to be Isaac, if we even do get another tropical cyclone to develop this season, because soon we should be on the downward trend. Which is kind of crazy. This has been such a nothing burger hurricane season. This was forecasted to be like the biggest season since 2020, and that just has not been the case. 2023 was more active than this. 2022 was more active than this. 2021 was more active than this. There's no way that we are gonna get the forecasted by some stations like 25 named storms out of this. Again, we are at peak hurricane season right now, and we only have 2 tropical storms out there. We only have 1 tropical storm out there technically. The other one's just a tropical depression, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Got some severe warnings up into Colorado.
Yeah, we did just get a new one there northeast of Denver, the one that was just issued for Kersey, quarter-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. We're mainly just going to be talking about a damaging wind threat out here, so we're likely not going to have a stream covering severe weather today.
Yeah.
But we might as well... Okay, I guess the warning counter already is updated. I've got this stupid gnat flying around me.
Dang. You should clap it. You guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, but I don't have anything else to say pretty much.
Yeah, I think that in a few minutes we can probably wrap up here. Briefly off topic, but I feel tomfoolish today and randomly messaged the official Peppa Pig account about an inside joke with my cousins and will it be added. My mother found the message and started laughing. What?
Pretty random. But we have 1,074 millibar high pressure in Antarctica right now.
That is insane. 1,074?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's wild. I don't think I've ever seen something like that. If that were to happen, then, like in the United States, that'd be bad news. Oh.
So again, we got a little bit of rotation, but it's mostly done at this point. It never really was too exciting, but again, that's going to continue to push southwestward towards Georgetown, South Carolina over the next several minutes.
Yeah.
What is the town north, South Carolina?
I will be most likely posting a video regarding the information that we've received on the storm, so if y'all want to check that out, I'll probably be posting it later today.
Yeah, make sure to go subscribe to Mr. Storm. If somebody wants to put his link in chat, that's fine.
But obviously watch Davis's Tropic Talks videos.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna... I may have a Tropic Talks episode out later tonight, but that would be like the only time that I would be able to do that before landfall, because obviously I've got school tomorrow. This weekend went by way too fast, but...
Oh, yeah. If I were you, I'd honestly do it.
What can the town north in South Carolina experience? Let's see. I know I just pulled it up, but... Yeah, so again, you're still just, like... right outside of the cone there. That doesn't mean you won't see anything. If we go and take a look at the NAM, though, it's probably just going to show us some rain here, I imagine. Maybe some heavy rain. Again, Columbia, South Carolina looks like they could get some very heavy rain tomorrow afternoon from this, and it looks like you could get on that same batch. So honestly, the main threat there would be flash flooding. I believe you're in the slight risk for flash flooding tomorrow, if I'm correct. You're in the marginal, just outside of the slight. So that'd be the only real problem there.
We do have wind advisories into central South Carolina. All right, that does go all the way to about Greenville, I believe. That goes all the way out to, not Greenville, it goes all the way out to Columbia, Camden, Orangeburg, and Sumter, South Carolina.
Wow.
Interesting to see. Those are actually lake wind advisories. All right. So north winds 25 to 35 with gusts up to 45 miles per hour expected for a portion of central South Carolina from 2 a.m. Monday to 2 a.m. Tuesday. Strong winds and rough waves on area lakes will create hazardous conditions for small craft. Boaters on area lakes should use extra caution since strong winds and rough waves can overturn small craft. I do not believe Sam is in that.
I doubt it.
What?
I doubt it.
Yeah, I think he's a county out of it.
Another problem with this system is tomorrow, we're not even going to have any storm chasers out here, really, unless they're locally based in South Carolina, just because this came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting this.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that flooding event, Kevin.
So National Weather Service in Wilmington, North Carolina, they are saying that from Bald Head Island all the way up to Hempstead and Burgaw, they are expecting 4 to 6 inches of rain.
Again, and those are just the additional totals. Some areas localized near Bald Head Island have already reached over 9 inches, so 3 to 6 more inches. I mean, that is going to cause some serious problems. I'd be very surprised if we didn't get at least, actually 4 to 8 inches here, according to this tropical storm warning for Bald Head Island. I would be very surprised if we didn't get at least one or two flash flood warnings in that area.
Yeah. Once again, water rescues are possible.
Again, I really think flooding and storm surge will be the headlines from this. Mainly flooding, because storm surge is not going to be anything crazy. Maybe up to 3 to 5 feet peak.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think we're going to end off this live stream here. I do want to thank you all for tuning in. Can't chase, you have school tomorrow. Yeah. So, I want to thank you all for tuning in. We will be live here tomorrow covering this, the tornado threat for the most part, but also the major flooding. We're going to have cyclone ports in the track of this thing, so we'll be able to pull those up and, watch the storm as it unfolds. So, Mr. Storm, you got anything you want to say before we hop off?
Yeah, so stay safe out there. Obviously, you gotta take this seriously. It's, even though it's not the strongest of storms you've seen out here, we still have to talk about how it's still going to have those very intense winds, the storm surge, and the flooding. So, just don't take this one lightly and stay safe out there. Turn around, don't drown.
Yeah, for sure. So